Now for our practice. So I've turned to a new magazine page and I flipped over my paper to save paper. So since I'm practicing, I don't want to use a new sheet for every time I do this. So what I'm going to do is start out with sketching out her head. I'm going to press pretty dark for this because I want you guys to be able to see it. When you're doing this, you're doing a sketch. So if you're doing a sketch, you're going to draw a lot lighter than you normally would. So if I've drawn her head this size, I should be able to fit the rest of her body on there. If I drew a head that took up half the paper, that would not be the proportion I want it to be able to fit her whole body onto this paper. So now I'm going to look at her backbone. I'm going to imagine I can see her spine. Because of the way she's leaning to the side, there's going to be a slight curve to it. So I'm going to put that into my sketch. So I'm going to actually curve her backbone a little bit as if she's leaning against the wall, which she actually is doing. Now I'll put a line in there to indicate where I think her shoulders are. So I'm going to tilt it just a little bit because she does have one a little bit higher than the other. If I give her shoulders, that gives me a place to actually put her arms later. If I look at her head and I go across her shoulders, it actually fits across her shoulders twice. So if I measure my head that I've done here, it actually fits across the shoulders that I've given her twice. Now I'm going to give her a shape for that torso. That gives me a place to put arms later, but if I'm going to draw her legs on, I have to have hips that I can actually attach the legs to later as well. What I would want to do next is I would do the arms and the legs. I'm always going to draw those to the joints they have. So I can't really see her elbow over here, but I think her sleeve pretty much stops where her elbow is. That's probably the one I should draw first. So looking at it, I'm going to draw a line that comes down to her elbow. I'm going to do a mark to indicate where her elbow would be. So I'm putting it in line with her torso where I see that it's in line with her torso or the trunk of her body here. Then the rest of her arm comes towards her hip so she can actually have her hand in her pocket. So I'm drawing a mark there to indicate where her hand would be. Her other arm will seem a little shorter because I can't see where her elbow goes to because her sleeve is obscuring it. But somehow her hand is in her other pocket. So I'm sketching that to indicate where that would be. One leg is crossed over and then she's balancing on one leg that is straight. So since this one's in front, I'm going to sketch this one first. So this is going to go down to her elbow. No, not her elbow, but her knee. So she does have a joint that's in her leg. Then I would go this way. If I visually measure this, it looks like this part of her leg is just as long as this part of her leg. And then her foot should be over here. So her ankle would be where her foot starts. So I'm going to look at this and try to figure out, well, is her leg in the right place? Is it in the right position, the right size? If I look here, her ankle is outside of where her shoulder is. So if I look at where I sketched her ankle, it is outside where her shoulder is. The other leg comes straight down from her hip. I'm drawing down to the knee, doing a mark, coming down. This foot is pretty much on the same plane as the other one. The toes on this one are a little bit higher up. This foot, I'm not going to see how long the whole thing is because it's pointed at me. I have a foreshortened view. The other one I can see how long it is because I can see the heel and the toe in the actual photograph. Here, I just see the front of her foot. So this doesn't look exactly like her, but it looks like what she is doing. So you guys are going to continue practicing with the photograph or the live model that you're using.